rest in peace. I will introduce to you now my mystery partner, led to the ring by his manager, Brother Love, weighing in at 320 pounds from Death Valley. I give you the Undertaker. Soon all mankind will witness the rebirth of the Undertaker.
Good for you, Triple H. But I'm gonna let you in on something. I ain't the people's champion. I ain't no rattlesnake. I'm the dead man. And if you try me, I'll make you famous.
3 ain't enough now, I need 5. Welcome in Jim, Ryan, Matt, Tim, and intern Mark.
I'm at a point. This time the cowboy really rides away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special 3CT broadcast here on a Sunday night. It is June the 28th, 2020. We are glad to be with you. We got plenty to talk about tonight, but it is all about the Phenom. We're going to be talking about the last ride. We're going to be talking about the legendary career of the Undertaker, and we're going to look for some interaction. So make sure you give it a like, give it a share, give the video, get as many people in here as possible. Make sure you head over to 3countthursday.com. That's our homepage. You can check out our social media. All of our social media links are there. Our merchandise at whatamaneuver.net.
What a maneuver.
Thank you, Tim. Our Patreon page, patreon.com/3countthursday. Our home network is, of course, NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We also stream daily at leapsports.com. Ryan, that would be?
What a maneuver!
No, the other one.
LEEIBsports.com.
Thank you. And you can also make sure you subscribe to our regular podcast feed as well as the new 3 Count Thursday Hot Tag podcast, where you can find our best segments of the week. So make sure you subscribe to both those, share the links as well. So we were not live this past Thursday, which is good. I think it was nice to have a little bit of a break, but we are all back. All 5 of us are back, which is very, very nice. Ryan, how was your weekend?
Real good. Real good. Thanks for asking.
No problem. Tim, how about yours?
No.
Oh,
how was your weekend? You asked. I want to know your weekend.
It was good.
Oh, that's good.
Like life is like a week at this point.
That's a good point.
But the weekend was good. Tim, how was your weekend?
It was fun. I'm glad to be here on a Sunday. I don't even know what day it is.
It's a Sunday.
I'm just glad I'm not at work.
There you go. Matt, how was your weekend?
Busy. A little project around the house to get done before we can list it for sale. So just tackling those every weekend now. So good stuff though. Glad to be here.
Awesome. And intern Mark, how was your weekend? We can actually see your face this time. Did you put new lighting in at Hot and Stein Estate?
There's some new lighting here at the Hot and Stein Estates. I hope it's not too bright, but my weekend was very. You're okay. My weekend was very exhausting. I can't wait to get back to work tomorrow so I can finally relax.
Where's the? Hold on, I gotta find it. There we go. Charlie says Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson ruined the phrase hot tag. I'm not sure what that means. Ryan, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question for Mark.
Go ahead.
Mark, I was curious how your lunch was today.
You know what? I'm glad you asked. My lunch was awesome. That's with an H. awesome.
Oh, okay. So I have a question. So I assume they have the salad bar up and running. What are they
do.
doing
Yes, I was
for
concerned.
safety precautions with the salad bar there, Mark?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Jim, because I had a concern. They do have the salad bar up and running. So what you do, you have to wear a mask, and then you're
Okay.
allowed to go in one side of the salad bar, and you have to wear gloves. They supply you with gloves. So you wear gloves, you get your salad, you have to come around the other side, and then you exit on the same side that you went in. So you kind of make a U, if you will, or a horseshoe even.
Okay.
A U. And there's only 10 people allowed in the salad bar area at a time.
I think they should keep at least that portion of the restrictions even after this pandemic, because that always gets it's
I
a
agree.
traffic jam.
It was nice.
It is always a
Yeah, it
traffic
is.
jam there.
The thing that annoys me that didn't happen and won't happen right now is the people that overreach. They're on one side of the salad bar and they feel the need to reach over to grab something that's on the other side when you should clearly come around and stand on the other side. And then the worst part is they bump the sneeze guard and it starts swaying. I don't like it.
Bad.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
it's,
like it at
it's
all.
not good. That's no good. Well, you're a braver man than I, because I would not go to a salad bar or a buffet at this point in the game, and probably for a while. So, like I said, you're a braver man than I. So let's dig in here. Now, Tim, per your request, we have instead of a ding, at least for this episode, maybe going forward. Now, based on the Last Ride documentary, this is going to be the new ding when somebody makes a good point.
Kobe.
The Undertaker dropping the Kobe bomb during on the Last Ride.
Kobe.
So that's going to be the new ding. And since we are talking the Undertaker, and I had the new intro and everything, when I was working on that, I found what is probably one of our favorite Undertaker clips of all time. So I do have that as well.
Rest in peace.
And I did isolate just the the gurgle. So that
Podcast is over, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
done.
Have a great night.
Done. Thank you, Taker, and good night. So we do have that. So maybe if you make a point I don't like on this show, you're gonna get a gurgle. And otherwise you will get the Kobe. But yeah, let's talk about the Last Ride, because obviously the final episode dropped last week. Did all five, have we all finished the Last Ride? Okay. So obviously, you know, and we had kind of talked about this when it was first announced that this documentary was coming. And the curious nature in all of us was like, is this going to be the way that he, you know, gives us the big sign off and says goodbye? And here we are, you know, at the end of the you know, at the end of it, it's pretty much said, like, you know, unless Vince needs me, and you know, what did he say? In case of emergency,
break glass,
use Taker. That he's pretty much done. And you know, you had George Strait playing.
I'll be an old troubadour when I'm gone.
And you know, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh my God, I kind of knew it was coming, and I'm still sitting there going, a part of my childhood just died here. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and I know we've kind of had these moments, or at least these speculated moments, even back to our first couple months as a podcast when he loses to Brock Lesnar. It's like, okay, is he done now? And then, you know, you had the finish at WrestleMania 33. But now there does kind of seem a finality to it. But in terms of the documentary as a whole, and we know how good WWE is at producing videos and documentaries, and between 24 and Day Of and all of these things that they do, they're going to have a hard time ever topping this documentary, in my opinion. All 5 episodes were just so damn good. The coverage of them, and I think also the fact that it was that the Undertaker was the subject, and Mark Calloway is letting us into this world that like he never has before, I think played into it as well. But Ryan, your thoughts kind of just on the documentary as a whole.
Yeah, man, the documentary, I think it lived up to The Last Dance. I really did. I enjoyed every moment of it. There wasn't a moment that I thought let me down. I thought it was very well paced. Just in under an hour, I believe all the episodes between like 45 and an hour. So they just were easy to consume. Even after like a 3-hour pay-per-view was easy to watch. The one that they dropped after that. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Well done, WWE. Still not my favorite thing they've ever done. I still am a big fan of the rise and fall of ECW. That has been like my all-time favorite. I can watch that DVD endlessly and never get tired of it and pick up new stuff that I've never heard the first time. But this is probably number 2, The Last Ride. So great job, WWE.
Matt, your thoughts on the documentary?
The one thing I will say in reference to how it compares to The Last Dance, just because I think we kind of saw that as WWE's way of, combating that, was that I wish it had been longer. I feel like there was some stuff in Taker's career that they just kind of mentioned, didn't really do a deep dive into, that I'd like to have seen a little bit more of. The SummerSlam match in particular, I feel like was just not talked about enough for my taste. But otherwise, it was just very well done. Might have gotten teary-eyed a couple times there, not going to lie, especially in that last episode there. But very great stuff. I don't know that I'd put it at the top. I would have to just kind of sit down and see, but it's definitely very high up there just because of the production quality.
Yeah, Tim, your thoughts?
I'm a second what Matt said. I could have done easily like an hour plus every episode. Like especially with the character like the Undertaker, who it's 30 he debuted at Survivor Series 90. So 30 years roughly a character. It's a lot. I'm glad we got to see what we did. More so from just the side of hearing Taker. We got a little bit of it during the Broken Skull sessions. And to see that throughout the duration of the show, of the docu-series was really good. And I hope now this is the gateway to we get more of this version of the Undertaker moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of the thought is I mean, I definitely agree that this series could have been more. It could have been more episodes, or the episodes could have been a little longer. They could have done some deep dives into some of the things that they didn't necessarily dive as deep into. But now maybe because the focus of this was getting to the end. Like, and I don't know if in the and Mark, we'll get to your thoughts on it, but like, if they kind of knew, and Undertaker kind of knew, like, hey, this is where we're going, so let's work on getting down that road, and then later on maybe you can do, because they've done different things, like, I remember back at the beginning they did like that feud series where they had. Or maybe that was a DVD and they just put it on the network, but like the Brett and Shawn feud. So maybe you do some of these where you actually get Undertaker to sit down, because especially right now, you have a great opportunity. Like, granted, they can't bring you into Stamford and sit you down in the studio and necessarily do it as high tech of a production, but in the same time, you're in a really neat opportunity where we're all kind of getting used to this type of scenario, the small box conference call, video call, like the audio quality doesn't have to be what we're always used to. So maybe this is an opportunity, to dig into that a little bit. But Mark, your thoughts on the documentary itself?
I'll tell you what, I literally just finished the last episode about an hour ago.
Mhm.
I thought it was fantastic. Of course, I wanted more. Any kind of documentary that you can watch where it leaves you wanting more is usually a pretty good documentary. And I'll tell you, when it first started a few weeks ago, I had no idea it was going to end with the Undertaker announcing his retirement. So it was, as it went on, it kind of was building towards that. But I thought it was very well done. I'd put it in the top three.
Yeah, I think one of the things that struck me the most is, and I know we talked about it last summer at Extreme Rules when the Graveyard Dogs had their match, and everything went perfectly, and I think all of us were kind of like, that was probably the best in-ring product we've seen out of the Undertaker in a long time, because Roman and Drew kind of did the legwork, and Shane and Taker kind of filled in, and the fact that the Undertaker, that, as we saw in the documentary, comes out and is like, hey, I'm done. This was about as perfect as can be. Like, I thought coming out of it, like, look, there's no way that the Undertaker is going to have his last match be a tag team match. And it was nothing against Roman. It was nothing against Shane or Drew McIntyre. But I thought there's no way. There's no way that this career is going to end at an Extreme Rules pay-per-view in a tag team match. Like, it seemed like a very anticlimactic end to, the whether or not, and I've seen some people on Twitter today, like there's like one of these, copy and paste polls where it's like most overrated, least overrated, or like most underrated, whatever. And somebody I saw had put their most overrated wrestler was The Undertaker. And I mean, a pretty bold claim, but I didn't ask, like, did they mean as strictly in ring, or are you talking the whole package? Because, like, if you're talking the whole package, character, and all of that, to say that the Undertaker is overrated in any fashion, I think is a ridiculous claim, because I think arguably it's the greatest character that this sport, or at least the WWE, has ever seen. Just in the length and the ability to adapt over time and stuff like that. But I didn't think there was any way that we were going to see it end on a tag team match, and then obviously we got through the Boneyard match and all of that. But coming out of this, we'll kind of go in the same pattern, Ryan, Matt, Tim, and Mark. Do you think, and then we'll obviously talk about different aspects of his career and some of the questions that I posed on social media this week, but do you truly think that this was the last, barring a Hall of Fame, I'm talking in ring, in match, some sort of competition fashion, Ryan, do you think this was truly the end of the Undertaker?
100%. Absolutely. I think I said it when it was first, one of us said it, it might have been me, when we first started talking about the last ride, and symbolically the Undertaker literally riding away from the Boneyard on his motorcycle, his last ride, that it absolutely was the last time we see the Undertaker in a match in the WWE.
All right, Matt.
No, it's tough for me to say that, yes, we've seen the very end of this, just because, he even left open the possibility that he could return. So, I find it really hard to believe that his last match would not happen in front of a crowd. I think we've said that before. I don't think that he intends to go back, but I think he'll get that itch. Maybe not next WrestleMania, but the following, and just do one more so he can be in front of that crowd that one last time.
Okay, Tim.
Kobe.
The longer and farther away he can stay from the ring, the farther and longer he'll stay retired. COVID is doing a wonderful job of playing defense on Taker, making the comeback and doing something. Because you could have easily said that you could do AJ and Taker at SummerSlam.
Sure.
Post Boneyard. Do I want the Undertaker to stay retired? Yes. Much like I wanted Shawn Michaels to stay retired. And he came back. And he came back for a payday.
Sure.
So my gut says no. My gut says Taker's not done. I think that if he does come back, it is to chase a dragon, as they used in the documentary. And having that one last one-on-one match with AJ in a ring might be the thing. Or someone like the caliber of an AJ who they could see the Undertaker being of use to a star like that. But just for me and my ideal, like I can't relive, like I've already seen him retire once at WrestleMania, kinda, with the gloves and hat. And now I actually see him say, I'm done. We're done. It's over.
Right.
Don't fool me again. Like, let it be and call it good, because we all think it's good and you don't have anything else to prove. Like, you're good.
You talked about the payday. Obviously, Devin hits the mark there. That these, the Saudi shows always have quite the price tag attached to those.
But here's the thing: he could still go to those and not compete.
Sure.
He was at one Saudi show. He was there the night before in like the parade.
Yeah. That's right. When it was
he's
like the Riyadh festival or whatever.
It's not gonna. I'm specifically saying in ring. I want Undertaker everywhere. I want him on the kickoff panel. I want him on table for threes now. I want him doing photo shoot. I want him to do ride-alongs.
Sure.
Him and Mayor Kane in a car making the loop from Raw to SmackDown. Yes.
Yeah, like those, like that.
That's what I want.
That would be awesome. Charlie says he doesn't think he'll pull a Terry Funk and retire like 80 times.
Only three.
Yeah, we've got two. We've gotten two.
Yeah.
We got to get that third one. Mark, do you think we have seen the last of the Undertaker in the ring?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hello there. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. If he were not to wrestle again, I would be completely satisfied. His last match with AJ at WrestleMania was great, but I think he's going to want to be there to officially retire in front of a huge crowd, as he deserves. And especially with the Saudi money, he'll be back for at least one more match. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I actually don't think we see him wrestle at WrestleMania ever again. I think this year was his WrestleMania sign off. Now, could I see him coming back for a match, a final farewell, whatever, at let's say SummerSlam or a Survivor Series? Because he has had some of his most memorable matches, and we'll talk about some of those and some of the memorable moments at SummerSlams and at Survivor Series. Obviously, his debut was at Survivor Series. So and his first title win at his second Survivor Series when he beat Hogan. So I could see something along those lines. But I said from the beginning that I didn't think that the Boneyard match was going to be it for him. But after watching this, I actually kind of have my doubts that we'll actually see him compete again. But like selfishly from a fan standpoint, and similar to like Edge, when Edge came back and had his first WrestleMania match, almost a decade at an empty arena WrestleMania. For guys like that were such a big part, and for the Undertaker, I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, anywhere probably between, late 20s right now, to like 50 years old, like there's a huge part of you that is got to be an Undertaker fan. There's not a lot of people, I don't think, that dislike the Undertaker out there. I think the majority of the people, whether you've loved every incarnation of him, might be a different story, but there's a love for the Undertaker, and obviously like younger people that have watched him, in his like the part-time era as well. But like for me, I was like, I've never had wrestling fandom that the Undertaker wasn't an in-ring performer, at least that I can really remember. I mean, I think, I went to an event when I was like 4 or like 5, right before the Undertaker debuted. But really, my entire wrestling fandom, the Undertaker's been a part of it. So this may be the hardest retirement that I've dealt with from a fan standpoint, because like it's not necessarily injury that cut a career short, like an Austin or a Brett or something like that. This is something that it's just, he's always been there, and now he's just like, it's done, it's over. And it was kind of that one thing that we never thought would happen, because he kept coming back, for better or worse. Like, there were some years it was for worse. Like, let's be honest, some of these last couple of years, it hasn't been what we know and love as The Undertaker. And it's been rough. I mean, WrestleMania 33 was rough. If you go back and watch that match, it was rough. The Goldberg match, that was horrible. That was downright horrible. So, like, I'm thankful that wasn't the last match. Like, but I'm more okay with it than like if I was sitting at WrestleMania going, okay, that was it. Now watching this and kind of going through his, seeing him kind of work through it, and this unprecedented view of the Undertaker. If we never see him again in ring, I think I can live with it. But selfishly, I'd like to see him one more time in front of fans. Whether it's against AJ or whether it's against a Drew. So let's pose this question. Frank and Charlie both point out that Goldberg is one that is technically still kind of standing from my childhood, but I was never as big of a WCW guy, because I guess Goldberg isn't officially retired. So for me, Goldberg coming or going really has no impact. He can never come back, and I won't blink an eye. So, like, I will have no problem if Goldberg just never returns. So let's pose this question: if Undertaker would have his last match, and you can pick the opponent, who would you have one more time? Whether it is WrestleMania, whether it's a Saudi show, whether it's whether it's any other pay-per-view, who would you pick for the Undertaker's final match? You go into it, it's the end, and would you have the Undertaker lose? Like, would the Undertaker lose?
I wouldn't change a thing.
Okay, no.
And I know it goes everything against what you said, but watching that documentary, you have to, I feel, get the point that the Undertaker isn't okay with mediocrity, and will wrestle another match if given the green light. And if it's not up to his snuff, we'll need to go and fix that. And then you're in this loop of the Undertaker trying to impress himself enough that he can walk away. And I feel like he's done that with this match. And if I was the booker, if I was Vince McMahon, I would do everything in my power to talk the Undertaker out of wrestling one more time.
All right. Well, let's just say this is fully hypothetical. Well, this isn't a, okay, you want to see him back one more time. This is totally hypothetical. Undertaker is somehow drinks some, youth serum. He takes 10 years off of his career. He's in the shape he was at, WrestleMania 24 against Batista. And, he's jacked up. He's ready to go. He has one more match. It's going to be the end. Who do you have him go out against? And does he win or lose? Come on, Ryan.
Dumb question. He doesn't.
It's a dumb question, but hey, what?
The answer's got to be Sting. And Sting will have to take the same goddamn serum that makes Sting 10 years younger. And the same thing, I stand by what I said. I talk him out of it.
Fair enough. Matt.
I mean, if Taker's coming back, I have to assume he's going to be just putting someone over. I don't think there's any other reason for him to come back. So I don't necessarily think that person should be AJ Styles just because he's on the wrong side of 40. So I guess it would have to be someone that's like up and coming. So I don't know, maybe like an Aleister Black, something along those lines. I can't even believe I'm saying this, King Corbin, just to elevate that heel status. Kobe. Shane McMahon too.
What? What?
Wrong side of 40 who?
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Oh, Matt, I love you. Tim, your thoughts on this question?
I'm with Ryan, but I'll actually give you an answer.
Thank you.
I gave you an answer too. Piss off.
You said Sting.
Beat it out of you with a brick stick.
I think it's just called a brick.
In stick form.
Stick brick.
A real long brick.
Just a long, thin brick. I am going to say it is somebody he has to put over.
Okay.
But it's somebody who is established already, but we need to set this person up to be the standard bearer for the next 10 years.
Okay.
Kind of like what he did with Roman Reigns.
Right.
He needs to do with Drew McIntyre.
I like it.
Kobe.
Intern Mark, how about you?
Well, at first I was thinking Daniel Bryan, but I think, I'm going to go with Bray Wyatt, even though he's not necessarily young and up and coming. I think it'd really solidify Bray Wyatt.
I like Bray in that spot if I'm booking it, and be it the Fiend, be it Bray, be it Wyatt family Bray, be it Fat Man Jim, Fat Man in the Gym Bray, whatever version of Bray Wyatt you want to use in that scenario.
Husky Harris.
Yeah, even Husky Harris at this point, but I would go with Bray Wyatt, and I would have Taker win. Frank says against the Demon Finn Balor, and kind of pass the torch to that character. Charlie says, and kind of the way you did, Ryan, one match, one time against Sting. They could, obviously wouldn't be in their prime, but he has to know who's the better man. Make it a fight like a boneyard or boiler room brawl. Devin says Undertaker versus the Fiend at Survivor Series. Undertaker goes out on his back. And I think that's the thing too. If he would come back for one more match, I think it would be a kind of passing of the torch moment. I don't think the Undertaker comes out on top on that one. Again, if you're following along in the live video, give it a like, give it a share. We'd appreciate that, and interact with us. We've gotten some comments here. Charlie, just looking back on him, he says the character will be around like Rock or Austin, but he believes that Taker is done. And going back to the documentary, he says the only thing he wished they would have done was include Conrad when they talked about StarCast, which I was actually a little surprised that they did mention that situation. It wasn't needed, but it would have been better to get Conrad's side. That would be something that now, if the Undertaker is indeed retired, and I know he's still under the lifetime contract with the WWE, but if he could, if you could do some sort of deeper dive into that situation, because I know that caught a lot of people's attention when we saw the Undertaker pop up at Starrcast. So hearing a little bit more into that whole situation would be pretty neat. So one of the questions I had asked, and it would have been the question of the week,
the 3 count question of the week,
on the show last week, but obviously we didn't go live. And it was what is the Undertaker's greatest match? And I'm going to kind of split this up and do 2 parts. What was his greatest match, and then what was his best moment? Because I think those are two different things. And the Undertaker has had a lot. I think a lot of both. He's had a lot of great matches, and he's had a lot of great moments. So I'm going to start off, and then with the best match, and then I'll go around, and I will come back to 2 honorable mentions, because I don't want to steal anybody's thunder with my honorable mentions. But to me, the Boneyard match is his best match, because, and I know it's like the cheesy, it's like the recency bias, but between that, the build to it, the match itself, and then it ties to the documentary, and it's at least as of right now, how he chooses to walk away and how he chooses to end his career. And it could not have been better. And I might be, Tim. I might be. To me, it's perfect. It's perfect. I have watched this match so many times already. I'll probably watch it countless times again before I'm all said and done. But to me, Boneyard match stands at the top. Ryan, how about you?
For match itself, oh man,
it's hard. It's hard.
It is hard because in my mind, matches and moments blend so well together in the WWE that I don't want to be the guy that has the same match as the same moment. So I'm going to say Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. Really, one of their 2 Mania matches, I think, either one would be fine. I don't know. I don't remember what numbers they were.
26 was the first, 27 was the second, correct?
26, the one out in Arizona.
25 and 26.
26, that right?
25 and 26.
24 was Edge. 23 was Batista.
Damn it! And I've watched all of those matches in the last week. By the
way, 22 Mark Henry, 21 Randy Orton.
See, so it's definitely not that Batista match.
Like that Batista match, I don't think I've ever seen that match before.
Oh my gosh, it's so good
because
it has no business being as good as it is.
That one was definitely in my break from wrestling time period, and I know I did watch some. I love your name, Matt, by the way. I just saw that. So yeah, if you're just listening on the podcast, you got to check out the video because there are some name changes going on the video. But yeah, that Batista match was real good. Ryan,
what were you doing in your time away from wrestling? Was that college, right? It would have been college.
Yeah.
So that was your drinking and your furry phase.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay, yeah. So let's just say the one there in Arizona, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, best match.
All right, Matt.
No humdinger.
Mine is also an Undertaker, Shawn Michaels match, but it's the one from Bad Blood in Your House, the Hell in a Cell, the introduction of Kane, that set up the feud then between Michaels and Hart. But I just think that match just had enough in it, like introducing Hell in a Cell to WWF at the time, or E now, alone is just a staple. So it could go my answer for both in terms of his biggest moment, but in terms of matches, that's the one that I kind of watch the most when I'm wanting to watch an Undertaker match.
Real good. Tim.
Kobe.
For me, now is this my favorite Undertaker match or the best Undertaker match?
However you choose to interpret the question.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to do both. The best match is
Taker's your guy, right? Taker
on any given Sunday. My favorite wrestler could be the Undertaker, Sting, or the Great Muta.
Okay.
And obviously it is the Undertaker right now.
Gotcha.
if we're talking about the best Undertaker match of all time, it is Taker Shawn 1 from 25. Because there's no stakes involved, like that like it could go either way. My favorite Undertaker match is, of course, the Boneyard match. I do love the Boneyard match a lot. But my favorite moment is actually the moment that took place on this day 22 years ago, which is it is on this day 22 years ago that Mick Foley died for our sins off the top of a Hell in a Cell.
He sure did.
And Undertaker yeeting Mankind off the top of the Hell in a Cell and then yeeting him through a Hell in a Cell. That those moments live on forever. Like they are etched forever in the histories of the internet.
Yeah.
There are memes. Jim Ross is God is my witness. He's broken in half.
Right.
Stop the damn match. That man's got a family. That killed him.
The King, yeah. That's it. He's dead.
That's it.
Like,
he's dead. Like it's
like, yeah. The ridiculous nature of those spots will never cease to amaze me.
Right.
And the fact that a human being walked away from that, from those moments is
and
just
hearing the stories of that match from both sides, like because Taker's like, well, I went in there and I had a busted ankle, so we didn't know what we were gonna do. And Mankind's like, well, this match, there's no steam behind it. We have to do something. So let's start on the top of the cage,
right?
And and Taker's like, well, all right, I come out and I see him on top of the cage, and I'm like, well, shit, I gotta go get him, don't I?
Well, and like that's the thing too, is like he said he had a broken ankle going in, like, you know, because there's that spot where he comes down through the hole
and he lands
and he kind of limps, and like, you know, we're fat guys, we've jumped out of the back of a pickup truck, and you get like that stinger in your leg. That's
I've jumped off the last step of a footstool and did the same thing.
Right, like I just assume that you get that stinger in your heel because you're too fat and the weight crushing down on your foot. No, he had a broken damn ankle and he's out doing that. Crazy. Mark, your best or favorite Undertaker match?
Well, I'm going to give you two. I think the best one was against Triple H, Hell in the Cell, with Shawn Michaels as a guest referee. I forget what WrestleMania it was, but that was
28.
28, end of an era.
28, when Taker still had the streak going on. Triple H looked like he was going to end it. Michaels had just been retired the year before by the Undertaker. I love the story going into that. I thought it was great.
I think Taker came out to a Metallica song that night too.
I believe so.
Or did Triple H use "For Whom the Bell Tolls"? Maybe
Triple H had used "For Whom the Bell Tolls"
the year before.
Yeah, the previous Mania.
Okay.
And then I think Taker might have come out to a
or was this the Ain't No Grave?
No, I think the previous year might have been Ain't No Grave, because the previous year was when he had shaved his head. Because even though he had beaten, this might have been
this is the Ain't No Grave year.
He had beat Triple H the year before, but
28's Ain't No Grave.
Yeah, so this was the Johnny Cash.
What a great song, Ain't No Grave.
Yeah, real good.
Yes, I think that was his best, in my opinion. My favorite was going back when the Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan for his first world title, because at the time Hogan was still, I wouldn't say he was at his peak, but he was still drawing, and he was number one in WWF at the time. And for Undertaker to be in there pretty much a year almost to the day and take the title off of Hogan, that was a huge deal back then. And that was in '91, I believe.
Yeah, just pretty unheard of at that point. Just catching up here. Devin says his was WrestleMania 28, the end of an era, Hell in a Cell. Charlie says may not be his greatest, but he loved the boiler room brawl. Frank says the Hell in a Cell versus Foley. We've never seen anything like the brutality top spot and top matches ever. And he also says Undertaker versus CM Punk was really well done. And I went back and watched that match this week. My two like honorable mentions for his best match was the first Shawn Michaels match, but then also was the WrestleMania 7 against Jimmy Snuka. And not because it was a great match or anything, but that was my first WrestleMania. That was probably one of the first times that I can remember like connecting that you know, like with that Undertaker character. So
it's because of the match with Jimmy Snuka that Undertaker is called the Phenom, because he beat the Phenom Jimmy Snuka.
That's right.
To take the name.
Obviously launched the streak, which obviously played a huge part in his career. Just catching a couple of the responses on social media. Scotty had said the same thing, the Hell in a Cell with Triple H. There's a lot of those. Nick said that one. A lot of the HBK match, the WrestleMania 25. We had a Taker versus Yoko, William had said, and a couple of Taker versus Kane responses. Somebody had the I think it was Battleground when he took on Brock. No, SummerSlam when he took on Brock a few years ago, that had with the setting up laughing moment. So now in terms of best Undertaker moment, Tim, you already hit that one. Ryan, do you have a best Undertaker moment as opposed to the Undertaker match?
My best Undertaker moment, when you go back to the WWE, they did the Oh My God countdown, the number, I think the top 100 OMG moments of the WWE back in 2011. My moment is the number one OMG moment in WWE history. I share that moment with Tim from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. How many ever years ago today? It was the Hell in a Cell match. Just amazing. The brutality in that match, just unmatched. Really, really is. I think, man, Foley touched on it in his spoken word thing. I loved hearing about that. Taker, like you said, has talked about it. I love to have them both sit down and just discuss that whole match, because there's just so much that went into that match with the inclusion of Terry Funk and the guy's shoes flying off. It was just such a great spectacle. Great. Absolutely his greatest moment. Loved it.
Matt, how about you? Best Taker moment?
I mean, for me, it's gonna be the Hell in a Cell match as well. I mean, that just did so much for wrestling. But on a personal level, for me, you know, entering high school, you're kind of at that, like, am I gonna like continue to be a wrestling fan or not type of situation. And that was right, like, peak Attitude Era for me, where the Undertaker kidnapped Stephanie and attempted to marry her, and that was kind of the moment that took me onto the yes, I'm going to continue to be a wrestling fan through high school path. So I think that moment for me really stands out because it just kind of like hooked me into WWF for, you know, a couple more years, and then I did just stray, as I think most of us did for a couple years as well. But that moment stands out to me still as like one of the, I mean, weird,
sure,
fucked up storylines, but like still something that just drew me in.
Mark, how about yours? Best Taker moment?
Well, I'll tell you what, for in-ring Taker moment, once again, I'm going to go with the Hell in the Cell, because that will never be topped. I don't think you'll ever see another wrestler being thrown off the top of the cell through tables. I just don't think it's ever going to happen again. Outside the ring, kind of an old school Undertaker moment when the Undertaker or Jake the Snake Roberts rather, kind of aligned himself with the Undertaker to start a feud with the Ultimate Warrior. I thought that was pretty good because I didn't see that coming. I saw Jake turn heel, but I didn't see those two teaming up, and I don't think it really went anywhere. I think maybe the Warrior got fired shortly thereafter, but they were doing some really good videos with the Jake the Snake and the Warrior each week, and a Cobra ended up fighting the Warrior, and he collapsed right at the feet of the Undertaker. It was really cool.
Yeah, mine was his return at WrestleMania 20 the match versus Kane, because I wasn't ever the biggest fan of Biker Taker, and the build up after he was buried alive at Survivor Series prior to that, and the build up to it, it kept giving us the promos that kind of led us to believe that the dead man character, or at least a version of it, was returning. And I remember we got that WrestleMania when we were at college, and that you had the Druids and you had Paul Bear and you had the dead man was back. So that one for me. The other two that I was kind of going back and forth on was the after the match WrestleMania 33, with Roman Reigns, with the hat and the gloves and the jacket in the ring, just because at that point it was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the Undertaker peacing out, and he's done. And I like, it was just kind of this surreal moment, because you always kind of wondered, like, how is this guy going to retire? And that was obviously a big moment. And then the other one's just the Last Ride documentary. Like, just, go back and tell yourself as a kid that this character, that it's this dead guy, and all that one day there's gonna be this long documentary with him as a real person, and his real name, and the WWE shop's gonna pop a Mark Calloway shirt on the WWE shop. Just imagine that as like the early wrestling fan that we were, just kind of seemed kind of unreal. So the Last Ride documentary as itself is kind of a great moment.
There's so many other cool moments that aren't even brought up off the table, but
sure,
I want to, unless we're gonna keep talking about moments, I want to at least.
I mean, we if there's other moments that come to mind, by all means, let's.
I got like three off the top of my head.
Yeah, go ahead, absolutely.
Royal Rumble '94. Him losing the casket match to Yokozuna, and the promo from inside the casket. You actually used it in the show intro.
Yeah, I love that. I love that clip.
Yeah, as soon as you played it, I was like, I know this, and I knew exactly the moment where it was from. But the promo from inside the double wide, double deep casket, before being ascended.
Double deep.
Yes, before his ascension. And then the next instance is the through line for SummerSlam 94 with the Leslie Nielsen whodunit with Where's the Undertaker, and how the Undertaker's everywhere. I remember that pay-per-view vividly. Sponsored by Domino's Pizza.
Sure was.
I actually had Domino's that night for the event.
Nice.
So I was on brand AF. And then lastly, the other Undertaker moment that stands out to me is the Undertaker at WrestleMania 13 going back to the gray gloves.
Yes.
And winning the WWE Championship from Sid. Those are all three iconic Undertaker moments that I'll always go back to and look at fondly. So.
Great moments. I went back and I watched that the Taker versus Taker SummerSlam, and man, like, they tried so hard.
Boy, is it bad.
They tried so hard to get who was
Brian Lee. That's primetime Brian Lee.
They tried so hard to get him to look and walk like Undertaker, and it just did not work.
He walked like a fat man down the ring. He just
fat man with a hanger still in his coat. I mean, it was just
weeble wobbled down the ramp.
It was really bad, really bad. Definitely something that doesn't age well, like, just because it's so. But yeah, no, the Leslie Nielsen and like the summer of the summer of searching was great. Yeah, I mean, it's like the funeral parlor. And that was during an era where, of course, you had the barber shop, and you had the Brother Love show, and you had these interview sets and these segments, and but yeah, like the funeral parlor. Like I remember when Warrior got put in the coffin, and they're taking forever to get him out, and they open it and it's all clawed out. I remember when Jake shut the casket on Taker's hand, and he's just dragging a casket. Yeah, I mean there's so many moments, and like matches. I mean, casket matches, and graveyard, like the old graveyards, like vignettes when he's like he's doing the blacksmith work and he's building the coffin, and stuff was so well done.
He was building the casket for the Yokozuna match for Royal Rumble, and I remember him like he was doing the wood shaving,
right,
and he was like, ho ho ho,
right, yeah.
Such a good, like Christmas those promos time. Are so good, and like even more modern day Taker memories with Maven getting eliminated in the Royal Rumble by Maven. Yeah. Undertaker is hardcore champion. The ladder match with Jeff Hardy, where Jeff is still standing, and then Taker comes out and gives him the attaboy on the head. Like,
well, I think I had even forgot that he had won the hardcore title.
Dude, he was such a great hardcore champion, man. He was using the his hardcore move at the time was the chair under the throat, and then holding it and then spiking them on the ground so that the chair feet hit the mat, and then the dude would throw themselves. It was so dope.
Yeah, like I shared the picture from Fox Sports that had like just some of the career stats. 7-time world champion, which
7-time
again,
tag.
Some of that was during the time where I wasn't watching, because I don't think I realized, because it was 2 WWE title runs with the Winged Eagle, and then I guess 5 with the Big Gold.
He was an undisputed champion too.
Oh, that's right. He did win the undisputed title
because he beat Hogan for it again.
Yes,
at Judgment Day.
So it was 2 Winged Eagle, 1 undisputed, and then I guess 4 Big Gold belt.
Yeah.
7-time tag champion, hardcore champion. Won the Royal Rumble in 2007. Of course, the 25-2 record at WrestleMania. So quite the career for the Undertaker. And then another question I had posed, because obviously, well, let me go back here. Charlie had said his best moment was the ladder match with Jeff Hardy. Devin has 2 moments. He said, obviously throwing Mick Foley off the top of Hell in a Cell, because he was at that show. Actually, a friend of ours from college, Ryan, Danny Ankles was at that one, because that was out in Pittsburgh.
The Crippler.
The Crippler. And so when he appeared in the ring during AJ Styles and Aleister Black Elimination Chamber this year, because he just marked out for it. So Devin's 2 moments there. And I was trying to find this clip, but I was unable to find it on YouTube to make a audio file out of it. Was when he had the promo with The Rock and said, "I may not dress like Satan anymore, but I'm still down with the devil and get medieval on your ass," is quite a great line from a promo. Obviously, The Undertaker is going to be a WWE Hall of Famer at some point. I don't think that is with. Oh yes, Ryan. Sorry.
I'm disappointed you didn't go over his Slammy Awards. He is a 12-time Slammy Award winner.
A 12-time Slammy winner. Well,
12 Slammy Awards.
Did he ever win Superstar of the Year?
Ooh, that's a good question.
No, he did not. Oh, I mean in Wrestling Observer?
No, I mean in WWE. Slam, the awards that matter, Ryan.
Yeah,
Slammies.
Come on.
Yeah, he won the Twig Trophy.
I know he won that.
Did he win a Slammy for Wrestler of the Year?
Did he win Superstar of the Year?
Okay.
He did not. He won the Slammy Award for Best Entrance in 97.
Uh-huh.
For Best Tattoo in 1997.
Uh-huh.
Highly sought after.
Yes,
for sure.
I always look forward to the Best Tattoo Slammy winner.
Yeah, they discontinued that one. Match of the year 09, 2010, 2012, 2015.
Okay.
Moment of the year in 2010, which is the Shawn Michaels match.
Mm-hmm.
Most intimidating back in 1994. I don't even know who would have been in that category. Wang, maybe? Who the hell knows?
Papa Shango?
Mantar.
Maybe Mantar. Papa Shango, maybe.
Oh,
I'll look that up. The OMG moment of the year, the rivalry of the year. He was the star with the highest magnitude in 1997, another really big award, and the WWF's greatest hit, which was sucking Diesel into the abyss at the Rage in a Cage match.
Yes,
I'm just reading what it says, sucking him right into the abyss.
Yeah. That it was Brett versus Diesel. It was the pay-per-view, the In Your House pay-per-view between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 12. It was Brett versus Diesel. And yeah, the Undertaker came up from inside the ring and pulled Diesel down into the abyss, and that set up
him into the abyss. Got it.
Match.
Okay.
Which that's a match. Going back, if you ever go back and watch that one, WrestleMania 12, a little long, but I love the sequence where Diesel gives him the jackknife, and he's going like he's ready to pin him, and like the Undertaker's dead, and then every time he goes to pin him, Undertaker reaches. I think it's like a four-time sequence where he reaches up and chokes him. But good, solid match as well. And yes, Jason, he did hang the Boss Man. I believe that was WrestleMania 14. 15. It was the one that was 15. In Philly.
I think it was the one in Philly, 15.
Yeah. But yeah, Charlie brings up a great point. Speaking of Mantar, why didn't we ever get a Matador Tito Santana versus Mantar match? That's a great point.
Mantar wasn't too long for this world.
No, he was not. All right. So obviously, again, the Undertaker will at some point be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. And I posed the question, who should induct the Undertaker into the WWE Hall of Fame? Ryan, we'll start with you on this one. Who to you should induct the Undertaker?
I don't think there's any questions asked. This needs to be Vince McMahon.
I agree. I didn't want to step on anybody's toes, but yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. After watching this documentary, to me, it should be nobody else. But I'll give some further thoughts on the Hall of Fame then. Ryan, do you have any more to that, or should I go to Matt? I'll go to Matt.
You asked the question, I answered. Asked and answered, sir.
All right, very good. Matt, who do you think should induct?
There's a lot of options here. Kid Rock, good choice. Fellow Hall of Famer. Mr. T, great speeches. He would just kill it. But if not Vince McMahon, I don't think Michelle McCool necessarily is the right person to do it. So I would give that to Kane, if not Vince.
Kobe. All right, very good. Tim, who do you think should induct the Undertaker?
Who did Ryan say?
Ryan and I said Vince.
Okay, you both said Vince. Okay.
Matt said Kane, if not Vince.
Right. So I'm not gonna say what you guys said, even though those are probably my first two choices. We're playing Family Feud here. We're trying to get everything on the board. So I got to pick like option 3 or 4. You can't go wrong with like a Mankind, like a Mick Foley. Mick Foley being the inductor if he and Vince are okay, and he's not fired shortly thereafter by getting his balls punched repeatedly by the son of Hornswoggle. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of another way that Mick Foley could get fired on television.
Right. It is. There's very creative ways.
Yeah.
Intern Mark, how about you? Who should induct the Undertaker?
I was 100% thinking Vince McMahon without question. And of course, following suit with everybody else, it sounds like second choice would be Kane. But I could see Vince doing it as long as Vince is still with us when that day comes.
Yeah, and like here's my thought with it is I feel like, and I don't necessarily think that they'll do this. I feel like the Undertaker should be his own ceremony, if you will. Like he should get in by himself. Like I don't think he should be part of a class. He should be a class in and of himself. So not even necessarily WrestleMania weekend. Like maybe a Survivor Series weekend. You do a special induction of the Undertaker, and I don't like Vince should be ultimately the last speech prior to whatever the Undertaker is going to do, because I don't know, and maybe he does now, because the door's been kicked through on this like the mystique. Like the Undertaker will never, he's never going to do a documentary like this. He's never going to do the door has been blown off of that one. So Vince should ultimately be the one to induct him, but I think that you could have, now they shouldn't be, Mr. T length speeches or anything, but you could have Bruce Pritchard, you could have you could have Mankind, you could have Shawn Michaels, you could have in like a couple people throughout the course of his career, whether it's a live speech or a part of a recorded vignette that are part of the induction process. Tim,
give me a Hall of Fame roast.
Love it.
Survivor Series weekend. You put the Taker up and everybody roasts him.
I love that.
And then the Undertaker sucks all of them into the abyss.
Yeah, no, that is perfect. I love that. Let's see here. Devin says Triple H. Charlie says if not Vince, he would do TNA like TNA used to do a multi-person induction. Jason says it can only be Vince or Michelle that inducts him. A couple of the responses on social media: John Cena, Ted DiBiase, Kane or Vince. We actually did have somebody say Bruce Pritchard. Obviously, if Paul Bear,
John Cena.
Yeah, I don't get the John Cena one. Like, I
can get John Cena is because no matter how you slice it, the next closest person to the same rarefied air that the Undertaker breathes is John Cena.
Yeah, but I don't
like. They're both on.
They only wrestled twice, right?
I don't care. They're the same dude. Like, yeah, it's like Babe Ruth inducting Babe Ruth into the Babe Ruth Hall of Fame.
Like, I get if they would have multiple people, absolutely have John Cena as part of that vignette or group of roasters.
John is the host of the roast.
Okay, I could live with that.
He's there.
That works.
He jokes on everybody that comes up, and then he bashes the Undertaker before the Taker washes everybody in the blood of non-line or whatever he's repping.
Yeah, the majority of responses on this question was Vince McMahon. But I think obviously if Paul Bear was still with us, I think that would be
any of his kids, but I think most of his kids are dead too.
Well, I know one of them is. I think
there's
one that's still with us. But no, after watching that documentary, it's got to be Vince. Like those two. Like I don't think I would ever see a human side out of either of those two, and they were more human with each other than anybody. Like there was the one scene backstage at the one Raw where they're like, kind of just like, Vince comes up and smacks him on the back, and they're kind of, it's that I'm like, I don't think I would have ever thought I would have ever seen that.
Can Vince handle that moment? I mean, they asked him, what does Taker mean to WWE? And he teared up and cut the camera.
He's like, can't say that.
But I think that makes the perfect speech. Now whether or not Vince would do it because he knows that he's going to break up, but to me that makes that speech that much better to have him do that. But yeah, that's a great point. I don't know if Vince
probably 30
if he could get through that speech. Like, he'd start speaking, and then he would have to call Triple H up to do it, and Shane would be like, "The fuck, man, I'm your actual son." But
who it absolutely couldn't. There's two people it absolutely couldn't be.
Who's that?
Ric Flair and the Big Show.
Oh, that's true.
big blubbering idiots just standing up there crying, can't even talk.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I just and I would like to see him, because I think Andre is the only person who was ever inducted by themselves, right? And
he was the first.
Yeah, he was the first inductee and the only one by himself. To me, I really think that's the way Taker should go in, and it's not a shot at anybody else and anybody else that would get into the Hall of Fame.
When is Flo Rida gonna get in?
But Taker's Taker. Couple more things before we wrap up here, and then obviously if there's any other things any of you want to add. But is there a favorite piece of Undertaker merchandise that anybody has or has had over the years? Or Ryan, I know you're saving up to buy that Undertaker commemorative title belt that is on the shop. I know you really want that one. But is there a piece of merch? And I have mine. I pulled mine over here. You've obviously seen it on the show if you've watched the show. This was the 21-0, and it has like all the match dates of the 21 matches. And I remember when I got this, my wife was like, that's such a weird thing to keep in the house. And I'm like, well, it's not a real urn. It's just but I kind of like that piece of merch. And the
merchandising.
But yeah, that's got to be my favorite. Ryan, is there any Undertaker memorabilia that you've had over the years that you particularly care for?
Not locally. I wish I knew this one was coming, so I grabbed the closest thing to me. I collect the autographs, so I do have an Undertaker autograph.
Very cool.
WWE magazine. So that's WWF magazine. I apologize. This is before they got the F out.
His autograph.
This one came with the COA, so I feel pretty good about it.
That one's solid then. Okay, gotcha. But is there one that you don't have on hand that you can think of?
Probably that urn. That was one that I was watching and just never pulled the trigger on it. Probably should have, but it would be that.
Matt, how about you?
I mean, I don't have a ton of Undertaker stuff. I do have a signed 8x10 as well with COA.
Very good.
Laura did give me a pair of Undertaker socks for Christmas like 2 years ago. So that would probably be about it. I don't collect a lot of additional wrestling stuff just because I have so much shit in my house as it is. So I do have the 2 Funko Pops as well, but that's about it.
All right, Tim, how about you?
I posted a link to mine in the chat, but I've as a big Undertaker fan, I have hated most of the Undertaker shirts. They all look like garbage.
Wow.
I hate them. It doesn't look like an Undertaker shirt. They all kind of look bad. But I loved his shirts as the American Badass, and I loved the big evil Red Devil shirt.
Yeah, that's no good to me.
It's not good, but it's great because it takes me back to the time when Undertaker was best for me. And I'll never be able to own it because they don't make it in chunky boy sizes. Screw you.
Yeah, I still don't understand that one.
But most of these shirts here,
they're not great.
They're not great.
They're just not great at all. It's the resurrection of the dead man one.
It's usually some shade of purple and a weird symbol, and that's kind of it.
Although the rookie collection, the Mean Mark Callis one's pretty solid.
See more shades of purple.
Yeah, there's a lot of purple. Those mineral wash ones are just
that tank top, Tim.
Which one?
They're the chalk line tank.
Oh my God, get that out of here. Kill it with fire.
Kill it with fire. Oh, that's a solid poster though.
They've got some really good posters up there right now.
Yeah, they're
Which
killing
ones
the
come with? I just want the ones that come with dirt. Can somebody in the shop
Ryan,
just
weren't you
click
telling
with
us that there's
dirt?
like a plaque up there?
Yeah, with dirt.
It's the Boneyard match. It's the Boneyard match collectible thing.
I think they might be sold out of though, or did I just scroll past?
It was one of the very new ones.
There's only so much dirt from the Boneyard they can collect.
I'm probably gonna buy this shirt at some point, the Mark Calloway shirt, just because it's not a great shirt.
I'm not a Mark Calloway dude though. I'm
But
here
instead
for
of
the
just buy a
Undertaker.
Blue Lives Matter shirt.
It's just Jesus.
It's just thing.
9 line.
It's just fucking surreal
Whatever.
that there is a Mark Calloway shirt on the WWE shop. But yeah, that's a solid one, Tim. That's definitely a solid one. Mark, do you have any Undertaker merch that stands out in your mind?
I do indeed. I have two I can think of. The first one, it was one of the first WWF wrestling shirts I ever bought was an Undertaker shirt. And it may have very well been his first shirt, and it was terrible, as Tim was saying. It was, the shirt itself was kind of white, and the front was gray with a picture of the Undertaker's face, and his eyes were red. And it was a really, really bad design, but I bought it at a live show. And I still have it. I'd really have to dig, but I could find it. But my other favorite piece is I think it's from 1995. It was a Target exclusive action figure set it was a Buried Alive set that had The Undertaker in it. It had Paul Bearer. It had Mankind, Mick Foley, and the Executioner. And I think that was the only Executioner action figure they ever made, who was Terry Gordy, and had a very short-lived run with The Undertaker.
Very good. A couple of comments here. Charlie says the Dead Man Inc. shirt. And he has a Undertaker zombie figure, but he says Tim's point, most of Taker's shirt look like bad Harley Davidson flea market shirts. I think that's a pretty appropriate description.
Kobe nailed it.
That. Jason says he has his ticket stub from the Pittsburgh Civic Arena from that Hell in a Cell King of the Ring. And Devin says a poster of his entrance from WrestleMania 29, the Punk match. That was a badass entrance. And then this is kind of like a cliche question, or like a cliche way to describe, but like and this kind of my closing thought and discussion is like, will there ever be anyone like Undertaker anymore? And what I mean is length of career, kind of loyalty to the company, guy that will, and you like at the early parts of the documentary, he talked about how, he would train for WrestleMania, work WrestleMania, go have surgery, rehab, and then lather, rinse, repeat for a couple of years. Like, I have a hard time seeing anybody anymore when you get to that level of like your body breaking down, or that level of injury or whatever, be it concussions or what have you, with everything we know about concussions and things like that. I don't see there ever being anyone like the Undertaker at any point. Like it's and I know, like, it goes to the match at WrestleMania 28 when they talked about the end of an era. Like, it just that level of commitment or whatever, not necessarily commitment, because I don't want to say that superstars of today aren't committed to the business or the craft, but I think it's just on a different level with what the Undertaker was and still is. Ryan.
Yeah, I agree. The slackers of today will never amount to anything. So
that's not what I meant, Ryan.
I hear you. Yeah, no, dude. There's one Undertaker, and there's only ever going to be one Undertaker. And anybody of the caliber of the Undertaker, I don't think people are loyal enough to ever be like the Undertaker.
Yeah, Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just don't see it. Just because of like the longevity of careers at this point, it takes them how long just to even get to WWE, and then by that time they're on the wrong side of 30. So are they gonna see a 30-year career and be wrestling at age 60? I'd hope not. So I just don't.
Matt, it takes about 22 minutes to get to the WWE.
That's true. I did like that they commented on how long it takes him to get to the ring a couple times.
Hey, I still stand by all of my justifications of why I predicted a 22-minute entrance.
Dead wrong.
I was very, very wrong, but I still stand by all my reasoning behind
There was
it.
no justifying a 22-minute entrance.
Again, his entrance from first bell toll to music ending at WrestleMania 30 versus Brock Lesnar was like over 12 minutes. And that was that was a short entrance
to that.
Right, but that was a short entrance ramp. We knew the ramp at 33 was like 80 yards long. I'm like, he could just start walking, and by the time he gets down, it would probably be like at least 12, 13 minutes. And that's not counting all the other gaga that goes into a WrestleMania Undertaker entrance. I stand by it. I did not at any point envision that they would put a riser about 10 yards up that fucking ramp and just completely destroy my prediction on that one.
I've lost track of the question. I don't know what we're talking about now.
Anyone like the Undertaker?
I don't think anyone has to be like the Undertaker anymore.
I like that.
Kayfabe is dead, so no one's got to live the gimmick like the Undertaker. Vince McMahon is on his way out, so no one has to befriend. No one has to be Vince's heavy anymore. Like, his spot is his. Like, now I'm sure there's going to be people who come and go who like fill the spot and like play the, like, who now is the conscience of the WWE, which is the nickname that Jim Ross gave the Undertaker, the conscience of the WWE. And like, that will come and go. Like, people who, like, wrestlers will have that opportunity. The closest person who would probably fill that as far as longevity and like loyalty, I think it may be Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
But as far as like the stoicism, the steadfastness,
I like that. That's a good word.
That's Roman Reigns. Like,
Okay.
it's the big dog. So
very good. Mark, your thoughts? Will there ever be anyone quite like the Undertaker?
Heck no. Nope. I'd say as far as longevity and loyalty, Shawn Michaels is probably close as far as loyalty. He never jumped ship for WCW during the wars, but as far as character and longevity, no, I don't see that ever happening again. Just a different time. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a different time. It's a different era, and yeah, Tim, what treat did you get there?
We've been making homemade jerky, so I got a piece of jerky.
Damn, sounds tasty.
Good old London broil.
Tim,
with
I'll
a whole
send you
bunch
my
of
address.
Stuff. Nah, you're on it.
Yeah. You can ship some up here to Old Studio L as well. Does anybody have any other thoughts? Any other things? Ryan?
Not about the Undertaker at all, if you know how my brain works.
Absolutely.
However, we absolutely need to find the Mania episode where they give out the 1994 Slammy Awards, because that is a fucking train wreck. That's got to be a watch-along episode.
Yeah?
We have got the worst categories I've ever seen.
What are some of the categories?
Sweatiest.
Yes,
sir. And who you think's won it didn't fucking win it.
I would have guessed, 94 was Vader in 94?
What about Bastard Booger?
Not Booger, nope. He was most likely to see Jenny Craig.
What about was Henry O. Godwin there in '94?
Nope, they fell under the smelliest.
Well, okay, that makes sense.
Which was tied with Duke the Dumpster Drosy.
So who won sweatiest, Ryan?
IRS.
IRS.
He sweat a lot.
Sweat a ton.
That is true. He did. He was a sweater. He was a sweater.
Worst idea, greediest, mouthiest, most eccentric. Oh, smelliest. There's so many good ones.
Why the hell don't they do a Slammy Awards right now? They could do a Slammy Awards from home.
The best etiquette.
Best etiquette.
Yeah, best etiquette.
But think about it, obviously, and not to get long-winded. We'll do that on Thursday about some of the issues with WWE right now. But if you could go a week to keep everybody away from each other, ship out some Slammy trophies, and do a virtual Slammy Awards, and then air a couple of classic matches.
So you mean WWE? You want WWE to do something right?
Well, yeah.
Instead of testing for COVID-19 positive correctly.
Instead of what they're doing, yeah.
Anything.
But yeah, man, that I would be all for a Slammy Awards.
Jim, let's start the hashtag Bring Back the Slammies.
There we go. I'm going to start it tonight right when we get off the air here. But I really want them, since Todd Pettengill, they already have him back in the fold. He needs to do another song like he did before the first Slammy Awards before the Slammy Awards at WrestleMania 12. He did a song, which is still one of my favorite moments from the Slammies.
This 94 one had that Stephanie brought with him. I forget her, Stephanie Wind or whatever.
Oh, from the Saturday morning show. Was it Mania?
From Mania, yeah, it was a whole Mania episode. They gave out all these awards.
Nice.
It's got so bad. I can't wait. I'll have to look it up. See if it's on the network.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that one out. Yeah, we want to get some watch-alongs going here.
Oh, bad.
Let's see here. Yeah, Devin says there will never be anyone like the Undertaker. Roman or Braun. Charlie says Roman or Braun might come close to his legacy in the locker room or his longevity, but no one will replace him. I don't see Braun in that one, but Roman definitely could. Charlie asks, 94, is that the year Owen won his Slammies? No, I think that was 96 or 97.
Owen won Biggest Rat in 1994.
Biggest Rat.
Biggest Rat.
In 94.
We can't say that word anymore. It's 2020.
16 years ago.
Does anybody...
They're fans.
Does anybody have...
26 years ago, I mean.
Unreal. But yeah, gotta love the Slammies. Any other thoughts on the Undertaker or anything like that before we wrap it up here? Ryan, Tim, Matt, Mark.
Just a heartfelt thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. We're gonna hit
thank
the mark
you,
on that.
If anybody knows Undertaker personally, tell him we all said thank you. Thank you.
Yes. But yeah.
And then also give him my phone number because I want him to text me.
And he's welcome.
I just want him to text me one time and be like,
he's welcome on 3 Count Thursday at any point. He can gladly be.
I will pay him in beef jerky.
He could gladly be the 6th man, or I'll even.
You can take my spot.
I'll say we'll bump Tim down. Tim will be the 6th man. Taker will be the 5th. Taker could be the host, really, if he wants to.
He could punch me right in the mouth. I would take a Taker punch too.
As the host, but no, seriously. I mean, the like I said, man, it just. I said in I got done watching the documentary, and like Matt said, definitely times I teared up watching it. I won't deny it. And I talked to my wife about it, and this is the big difference between when I met my wife and where we are now, is she'll actually engage wrestling discussions with me, or at least let me talk. And maybe it's because Ryan can't come over and watch pay-per-views or anything right now. But I was talking about the documentary, and I was like, I'm watching the last episode later. And then when it was over, I was like, my God, the Undertaker just retired. I'm like, that's part of my childhood that is now gone. And she actually, I think it seemed to feel bad. Like she actually felt empathy for me that the Undertaker was retiring. So it was a great documentary. Obviously, one of the most legendary careers in the history of the business. But we'll go around. Matt, where can people follow you? Are we doing Woman of the Week this week, or where are we at?
We've been taking a little bit of break. Lots going on in wrestling right now, so we were just kind of giving it some time to cool down. So next week we will be back with the Woman of the Week feature. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at 3CT, the letter A, Philly as in Philadelphia, and the number 8. I do have some more guests for the 3 Count Thursday Mad Libs coming up this week. So I will tweet those, so make sure you're following either at 3 Count Thursday or myself, just so you can watch along.
All right, very good. Tim, where can people follow you and what you're doing?
Not the Tool Man across all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, if you care. Twitch.tv/Not the Tool Man. I stream 2-3 times a week. If you want to hear more Undertaker talk, this week on Final Wrestling Place, we start season 11. This is the season of the boys and girls of summer, where we talk about iconic SummerSlam performers and whether or not they actually belong on the Mount Rushmore of being Mr. or Mrs. SummerSlam.
Ooh.
And our first topic is The Undertaker. So
Kobe,
feel free to join Final Wrestling Place wherever you get your podcast. If you subscribe to 3 Count Thursday on the same platform that you subscribe to them, subscribe to us.
Yeah, we're on Final
Place Pod on Twitter. And yeah, that's it.
It's good stuff. Ryan, Charlie asks, is that an Aces and Eights shirt over your right shoulder?
No, this is my from WrestleMania 32. It is the
See You in Hell. The See You in
32.
Hell. Very good. Very good. Now, Tim, is that a proper Taker shirt? There's no purple?
No, because Taker looks like a caricature.
Okay.
Like it's weird. It's just all
I know,
weird.
I agree. He never had
it looks
a lot
like
of great
sticker. I would buy that if it was a sticker, but
that's
not.
the back. I mean, it's the front, the Death Valley with the logo. It's like a rocker for like a motorcycle thing. Like
Yeah.
it kind of ties in your.
See, I like that.
And like the back was even okay on that one. That was even a bit.
But that's Undertaker.
Yeah,
that's not bad. I like that one.
That's the American Badass.
Yeah, that one was one of my. I think that might have been my only. No, I did get this one. I feel like somebody got me this one. I don't think yeah, Tim bought me that one, the Graveyard Dogs. But yeah, I didn't own much Undertaker merch. I'm right there with you, man.
Tim, you have this one though. You and I bought this at the same time. The Never
That's right.
Dead.
Yeah. That one was a 3X one that I grew out of.
Just X-Pac the sides out of it, wear it as like a poncho.
Yeah, but see, like I'm tall, and like then sometimes my belly would pop, and like it was over.
Tank top,
the amount of side boob you get
tucked in.
Yeah, it just
poncho shirt over top.
Mark, where can the people follow you?
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hello there. My MFers, my Mark followers, and I'm with every once in a while I'll tweet that 3 Count intern Mark. Check me out there. Every once in a while I tweet. I'm trying to do better. With Hershey Park opening in a few days, I don't know if I'll be tweeting much.
What can you do?
You should literally on your 3 Count intern Twitter feed give us the play-by-play of the first day of Hershey Park.
Right, it's Wednesday, right?
It opens the season pass holders Wednesday. However, the king size season pass holder, which is new this year, which would be me, I'll have access tomorrow to Chocolate Town and the new Candemonium roller coaster.
Oh,
I'm going to try to make it up there. The hours are really
It's official.
Weird.
It's official. Mark is the king of Hershey Park.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I'm a king size.
My king.
king size pass holder this year.
So tomorrow, you're going to be on the grounds of Hershey Park tomorrow.
Man, they have really weird hours for this, so I'm really going to try to make it up there. If employment doesn't get in the way, because I have to pay the bills, but I think I could pull it off where I could leave work and make it up there in time to walk those hallowed grounds for the first time.
You're not going to sleep tonight. I know that much.
As king of Hershey Park, you don't get a paycheck for that?
You know what? I should. For as many places as I promote and give them business, I never get any kind of kickback whatsoever from any of them.
Yeah, well, Uncle
I don't
Milty's
even get a
days are
free
over.
whoopie pie from Marian's Pies and Roots.
How much
there's
money? I'm just curious as how much money you'd have to spend to get like Lord, the Jesus of Hershey Park.
That might be an option next year.
Yeah, Savior.
Yeah, for another $1,000. Well, Mark,
everything's free.
Mark, we
people are free.
We hope that you have a great day, whether it's tomorrow, Tuesday, whatever. Make sure you wear that mask though. You got to be safe.
I will.
Yeah, don't be low key. Wear that mask.
Yeah. Oh Jesus, Ryan, where can people follow you if you want them to follow you? If they want to follow you,
if they want to follow me, that's fine. Before I do that, I did think of two things. I love the inclusion of the songs, the Metallica song and Troubadour. I thought that really led really cool moments. I love the Troubadour song. It's a great song. It really fits. I don't think of country music at the time when I think of pro wrestling, but goddamn, that hit hard. That one was real.
If I ever hear that song anymore, I'll probably tear up, at least for a while.
That's now the Undertaker song. Thanks, George Strait. And then I had said about maybe watching a watch along or something like that. Pro Wrestling Observer gave 2 Undertaker matches the worst matches of the year. I'd love to go back and watch one of them or both of them as watch alongs. One was obviously the Crown Jewel match in 2018. The other happened back in 2001. It is at WWF Unforgiven. It is the Brothers of Destruction, Kane and The Undertaker versus Chronic for the WWE Tag Team Champions. I'd love to watch that Chronic match. I thought the Chronic team was one of my favorites. It's on my list. We're going to talk about that at a later date, but love the Chronic theme. Follow me, RY and Eagle. I don't give a shit. Do what you want.
All right.
Wear a mask. Wear a mask. Wear a mask.
Yes, we do care about that. Wear your mask. All right. We thank everyone for joining us. And again, thank you to The Undertaker for a great career. We will be back this Thursday night live here, 9:30. No, not 9:30, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And we may have a special guest on with us this week. So tune in and be ready for that Thursday night. Until then, subscribe to our podcast feed, both this one and the Hot Tag segments. Make sure you go to our home network, NGSC Sports, as well as Leib Sports, LEEIB Sports.com. Make sure you go to 3countthursday.com. There you'll find our merchandise, our collar and elbow brand deal, all of our social media and everything else. And again, until next time, stay safe, stay smart, go for the pin, and wear your friggin' mask.